to Marvin Jackson, Roland and Ronald Freeman, Southern California chapter of Black Panther Party, alumni, and all the veterans that are around. Today, Black August tribute to the Martyrs. We got a lot of people here today. Here we go.
First of all, we want to give libations. The first Africans that built the pyramids, the Typhonians, the Chaldeans. We want to give a shade to the Mindes, the Kakanga people, the Bantu people, the first Africans that at the last Spanish on Africa grabbed the soil and the dirt and put it in their mouth because they know it might be the only thing they got to remember themselves from the continent. Ashe.
Yes, sir.
We want to give a pour libation to the freedom fighters. Christophe. We want to pour and give libations to Haitian Christophe, to Turn Overture, to the African blood defenders, Harriet Tubman, Ashe. We want to give a libation to those brothers and sisters that couldn't be killed, that became our grandparents and great-grandparents and parents, Ashe. We want to pour a libation to the freedom fighters, the Hugo Fidels, the Ronald Freemans, Big Bobby Hood, Puncher Carter, John Huggins, and the endless list that won't be missed when liberation was purged. Ashe. Last but not least, to our children, the ones among the living, the ones that they couldn't kill. We want to pour libations to the memory of all the ancestors that came before. We will never forget them. Although we cannot see their eyes or hear their voices, we will tell their stories. We will cherish them, and we will remember them. Ashe.
Okay, right on. Now we're going to have James, who's going to MC this. James Simmons, Black August, Los Angeles. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people.
This is, I can't even remember when we started collaborating with the Black Panther Party breakfast. I know we were at Mama's and no, Mama's, even before Rosa. Black August Los Angeles has collaborated with the Black Panther Party breakfast to give special thanks for those who stood on the front line. Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army. So what to do now is have Comrade Jitu Sadiki, Black August Los Angeles, one of the founders of Black August, who was there at the first Black August in, was that San Quentin? Soledad. Had been on the front line for decades.
We're going to go through the history, but we're going to go through the history kind of concise so that you get a understanding of what Black August represents. There is some literature that James has prepared that gives you a little more detailed information. So what I'll do is I'll talk about, we've had several presentations already about Black August. I'll talk about some of the practices that exist and also some of the, what we refer to as flea days. Flea days represent certain individuals that were part of our history of resistance dating back to 1970 in Soledad, Owain. If you look at the picture at the bottom left side, that's Soledad, Owain. That building that's behind it is the medical facility. So there was an opportunity after the brother was shot to assist him after the brother was shot. And what happened, he was set up by the guards. They had a racist white prisoner to start a fight with him. And once the fight started, the gun tower guard shot WL. Two brothers went over there to assist him. They too were murdered. And all three of those murders were cleared by the state. That's what led to the incident involving George Jackson, Cleta Drumgo, and John Blachette, who were charged with the murder of a guard several months after that. So the first plea day is August 7th when the young comrade man-child, Jonathan Jackson, attempted to liberate the brothers that were on trial in order to get the the Soledad 3 brothers released. And he was murdered August 7th of 1970. The following year, Comrade George was charged with, indicated that he tried to escape from the Justice Center in San Quentin. And then we have August 1st, when Batari Galvin was injured on the prison yard in San Quentin, refused any medical attention, and he died. So initially we had August 1st, August 7th, August 13th, and August 21st as the plea days. We are now adding to that August 12th, which is when Comrade Yogi was murdered last year in Folsom Prison. September 9th is the day that the brothers in New York, in Attica, took over that prison. This was a result of the death of Comrade George and then responding to what happened in California. So this resistance continues.
All power to the people.
All right, so like James said, my name is Shakur Sunni Ali. General Shakur, it doesn't matter. Born in the Republic of Africa, Panther Party, child of the Black Liberation Army. First I'll speak on my aunt, Afeni Shakur. Mama Fanny first. First of all, she grew up in South Bronx. Her parents are from South Carolina, Gullah Geechee people. Most of our family on my mother's side are all Gullah people, Gullah Geechee people, warriors. But in the South Bronx, she became, actually her and my father went to school together. They didn't know that they would grow to be lifetime comrades. But they, she became, a fierce freedom fighter and a warrior for women's rights, tenants' rights. She fought for it. She was known for fighting against sexism, within, the movement, within the Panther Party in general, and really just, she was a very intelligent woman. She, when they tried her, she was her own lawyer. This is how outspoken and intelligent she was. So if you wonder where Tupac get it from, he gets it all from his mother. Outspoken, very intelligent, and adamant about what she believed in. And she, made everybody respect her for that. These women wasn't perfect, but they stood up in the imperfect world and dared to struggle and dared to win against a lot of things that was plaguing us at that time. And they made a lot of good change. They stepped to people who wasn't correct, including themselves, women and men. And it got a lot of people, forced a lot of change within the party and outside of it. About the way you viewed women in particular. And they raised their sons to not have that sexist outlook, even as we grew as strong men and revolutionaries. So I think that's important to highlight about these two women. My mother, Fulani Sunni Ali, Ialosha Fulani Sunni Ali, also General Fulani Sunni Ali. She was the commanding general of the Black Legion at the time of her passing away. She was also a priestess in the Lukumi tradition, a priestess of Obatala. she was also a healer in many different ways. You know, basically a story of her. She grew up in a family, that moved from South Carolina to New York. You know, she started out like a lot of our elders, poisoned by the whole white Catholic rhetoric. She went to Catholic school and had her first taste of little white racist girls being one of the only black girls in the school, having to smack up little white girls for calling her nigger and stuff like that. So she grew, understanding what the enemy was. And when she came into her understanding around 18, 19, joined the Panther Party. Later on, she joined, the African Security Force under my grandfather, General Elijah Adebalola, and she joined the Black Legion, and she became a Minister of Information within the Republic of Africa. So through all of this time, there was times when she was tried, and she left with us a legacy of, I would say, really just love for her people. I think this is the main message, is to not give up, is to carry it on, and really love your people so much that you will fight, live, and die for your people. And she raised her children to have that, no matter what the sacrifices were. The FBI actually threatened my mother and Afeni, and a lot of them at that time, that they will not only come after them, but they will come after your children. And they may do all that threat with a lot of us. A lot of us didn't make it. A lot of us, people don't know the stories, but me and my sisters and actually Afeni's daughter, some of us, we're going to get together, we're going to write a story and a documentary on Afeni, Asada, my mother and other sisters, and the children of the movement, that a lot of that story didn't get told. A lot of us were murdered by the FBI, like Tupac, like one of my other cousins who was drowned, when he was at a birthday party for his girlfriend, And we knew he was drowned because he was a great swimmer. He was one of the ones who went through extra training. He was a little bit older than me. He was like, only two people I have respect for that was older than me was him and Tupac, because they were the ones who was carrying it on. And they murdered him. I ain't got time to go all into it why, but there was some CIA stuff going on. But they told him that they would come after your children as well, When they raided our house and my father was on the run because they wanted to try him, he was also one of the guys on trial for freeing Asada Shakur. At that time, they wanted her to snitch on him, and so they tied her. When they captured us, we had been in exile. They captured us from Central America, and they strapped her down, took her clothes off. She was pregnant with my younger sister. And at that time, what they did is they punched her in the stomach, they threatened her, put the 9mm in her vagina, all that type of stuff, and threatened her like, we're going to take your children away if you don't tell us where Asada is, where's your husband, this, that, and so forth. And what she said is like, well, do whatever you got to do. When my children are old enough, they will understand. But I'm not going to give my husband up, and I don't care if he threatened me with taking my children away. So this is the sacrifice she knew she had to make, and she knew that as a revolutionary woman, this was a part of the game. And she knew, okay, at that moment she was faced with what they said. She knew, we'll get lost in the system, we're going to take them away, you ain't going to have nobody, your children will be lost. And I can remember my father bringing us in New York, in her holding cell, I think it was in Brooklyn. But the way they have the Central Builders building, it's the way New York is designed, the old dungeon type jail buildings. We was able to see her. He would put us on his shoulders, and we were able to go to her cell and see her. And that's how we used to visit her, through the window of the jail cell sometimes, before they moved her off or whatever. And so most of them were actually captured. A lot of times we spent our time roaming the streets of New York, catching the trains, sleeping over different comrades' house. Yuri Kochiyama is one of the comrades that used to babysit us at one time. So we would have different places to go, at times. But because of our training and them pouring their energy into us, she was really into working with the youth. So, they really trained us and got us ready. But from the time we could walk, they got us ready for what was to come, And so, you know, in her later years, you know, like I said, she was given the title of general, you know, by the then general of the Black Legion military. You know, and then,
Charlie,
you
your
know,
order is ready.
she, basically the work was to rebuild the military as the military was supposed to be built. To get out of the whole, you know, just giving people stuff just because they're nice brothers, so on and so forth. So we began diving into that, and she began training me to take that leadership, because they believe that there's no success without successes. This was her big thing. So whoever she could reach out to on whatever she was about, healing, you know, she was an acupuncturist, you know, she, besides therapist, she was really into her priesthood work, and she helped a lot of people. And that's one of the things that I do, that Sister Thea does. We carry on that legacy of healing. Because a lot of what our elders been through, when you got the time, call our elders, speak to them, give them their flowers while they're here. Because a lot of what the enemy did, even besides lock them up and kill them, that stress that went along with that lifestyle that we have to live as revolutionaries causes death. So even in my mother's later days, even though she died the way she died, we knew it was caused because of the mounted up stress over the years that she had to face that was internalized, that a lot of them don't get a chance to deal with. And one of the things I want to challenge us and leave us with is another piece of another piece of being a revolutionary. As we grow older and grow up and be the elders now, and our elders are passing on, we have to understand health, taking care of ourselves, because it ain't an easy fight. This fight leaves scars, internal scars as well as external scars. You know, people dying from cancer and different other ailments. This is very real and a cause of what we are going through. I understand that. So I just want to leave y'all with that. I don't want to speak too long. So just remember, you know what I'm saying, in particular the sisters of the struggle as well in their fight, and just look up and dare to struggle and love your people and keep reaching higher. All right? Fill them in.
So these are some of the folks, and this is not a complete list. It's a long list, but it's not a complete list. Afeni Shakur, Shakur Sunni Ali, Wayne Farr, Elder Ronald Freeman, Roland Freeman, Sharif Abdullah, Didan Kamaki, Gary Gogo Owens, that's another one. I have his picture up right here. It's over there underneath the Black August poster. Oscar Washington, Mohammed Koti, Abdullah Majid, Mando Vilana, Arthur Morris, Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, Steve Bartholomew, Robert Lawrence, Tommy Lewis, Nathaniel Clark, Geronimo Gijaga, Samaya Peaches Moore, Marvin Jackson, George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson, Chandra Red Pratt, Tommy Lewis, Steve Bartholomew, Robert Lawrence, Walter D. Ray Pope, Frank Diggs, Sylvester Bell, John Savage, Bobby Hutton, John Bowman, Kwesi Balaboon, Carl Hampton, Bashir Hamid, Sidney Miller, Welton Armstead, Larry Roberson, Spurgeon Jake Winters, Sterling Jones, Carl Hampton, Fred Bennett, Albert New Washington, Cynthia Smallwood, Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Spurgeon Jake Winter, Twyman Myers, Bobby Hutton, Sam Napier, Alex Rackley, Lumumba Shakur, Robert Webb, Teddy Jahi, Safia Asya Bukaw, Bashir Hamid, Frank Heavy Fields, Herman Wallace, Michael Setawayo Tabor, Eddie Hatcher, Matara Shabaka, Ralph Featherstone, Che Payne, Batunde Omawali, Robert Webb, Sarah Kimu Olubala, Anthony White, Woody Green, Mark Essex, Alfred Butler, Timothy Adams, Rima Olubala, John Clark, Frank Fields, Ronald Carter, Joseph Waddell, Merrily Africa, Herman Ferguson, Marilyn Buck, Dr. Alan Berkman, Richard Williams. Let them rise in power. Their spirits be active in our lives. In exile, Crutch William Lee Dent, Don Cox, Charlotte O'Neill, Pete O'Neill, Nehanda Obiadun, and Sada Shakur. Those still locked in the dungeons that we have to free. We have to continue to work to free them. And we don't have a complete list. Chip Romaine Fitzgerald, Mumia Abu Jamal, Sundiata Akoli, Herman Bell, Jalil Montekin, Barunza Bowers, Kojo Bumani Sabu, Robert Seth Hayes, Maliki Shakur Lateen, and right here in California, they don't want to let him go, Mutulu Shakur.